So, the current occupant of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, who is also the Lord and Master of Maggots, has his panties in a wad. Well, maybe there depends. I'm not sure, but they're one or the other. And those panty depends are in such a wad that he is calling for violence against members of Congress and accusing them of sedition for exercising their freedom of speech and saying something that is actually a national imperative.
This is not normal. We cannot allow this to feel normal. This, as far as I know, has never happened before in the history of the country.
Democrats in Congress who are also veterans. And I'm going to show you clips from that Fox News meltdown, but first, just for context, here is a small snippet of the video that has their panties so in a twist today.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution, and who we are as Americans.
Pretty benign, right? They're literally just reminding active duty service members of what their oath to this country was and what it was not.
Who's going to remind Mr. Trump that he is the President of the United States of America and that he is the Commander-in-Chief of that great nation and that he should exhibit confidence in the power and authority and trust that the American people put in him, and trusting that he's capable of holding and respecting the title and the office that he holds. Because from the look of things, it looks like he is doing the contrary. The statements he's releasing on his social medias, because looks like that is where he gives his orders, are very concerning, especially to his political rivals. Not only political rivals, but these are congressmen, these vets, these senators, these are representatives. Yes, he is literally inciting that they should be. Why? Because these people used the military justice code to remind the service people that they have every right to refuse unlawful orders from the top chain of command. And he felt threatened. I think that's why I said he behaves contrarily. Because if you are the commander-in-chief and you are afraid people are going to take orders of others than yours, then there's something wrong that is going on. And then on top of it, his press secretary lied on TV, and literally reporters called her out and told her this is not what they said. But hey, vets, wives of vets, Americans, active duty, it's a compilation of these people that are reacting to this situation, and I want us to look at some of this. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, share. I'll be back with more.
So President Trump is sparking a lot of backlash for posting this on social media, accusing several Democrats of being traitors, saying that they are committing seditious behavior punishable by death. And he reposted this message from another account saying them, George Washington would. All of that in response to this video that Democrats posted online, many of them veterans.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
And so, of course, here on Capitol Hill, we started asking both Democrats and Republicans what they thought of what the president said.
It puts all of our lives in jeopardy, right? What are we all doing right now? Democrats in the Congress are on the phone with their chiefs of staff, beefing up our security.
Did he go too far, saying punishable?
I think that went too far. Well, yeah, I think that's over the top.
The words that the president chose are not the ones that I would use, okay? Obviously, I don't think that these are crimes punishable by death or any of that.
This morning, President Trump accused 6 Democratic lawmakers of seditious behavior punishable by death. Just to be clear, does the president want to execute members of Congress?
No.
Let's be clear about what the president is responding to. You have sitting members of the United States Congress who conspired together to orchestrate a video message to members of the United States military, encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
We have 1.3 active duty service members in this country, and if they hear this radical message from sitting members of Congress, that could inspire chaos, and it could incite violence, and it certainly could disrupt the chain of command to signal to people serving under this commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, that you can defy him and you can betray your oath of office. That is a very, very dangerous message, and it perhaps is punishable by law.
The president and the vice president, for that matter, have accused the other side of encouraging political violence. Isn't that exactly what the president is doing when he says that members of Congress should be killed?
Why aren't you talking about what these members of Congress are doing to encourage and incite violence? They are literally saying to 1.3 million active duty service members to defy the chain of command, not to follow lawful orders.
Actually,
every single
refuse an illegal order, which
they're suggesting, Nancy, that the president has given illegal orders, which he has not. Every single order that is given to this United States military by this commander-in-chief and through this chain of command, through the Secretary of War, is lawful. To suggest and encourage that active duty service members defy the chain of command is a very dangerous thing for sitting members of Congress to do, and they should be held accountable, and that's what the president wants to see. We will hear more about that later. Thank you.
You misquoted Democrats in that video. That's actually not what they said.
What has it meant for you to have the president say this about you, to call you seditious and treasonous and to repost someone calling for you to be hanged?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it more than the six of us who filmed the video, it's really just a sad moment in American politics. I mean, we know that, but, you know, today it really came home for many of us. And I think for the six of us that filmed this, you know, we swore an oath to the Constitution many times before we got to Congress. What we were citing was literally chapter and verse from the UCMJ, the Military Code of Justice. And I think his reaction just is, you know, characteristic of a political system that no one is proud of right now.
Does something like this change your security situation? We heard Marjorie Taylor Greene talk about that last week. You're nodding your head. I mean, this has very tangible effects I've seen with other lawmakers in somewhat analogous situations.
Yeah, I mean, look, over the years, I've had threats here and there. It was instantaneous. I mean, hundreds, if not at this point, thousands of calls, emails, texts, obviously online postings. Capitol Police came to us and said, you know, we're going to put you on 24/7 security. We've got law enforcement out in front of my house. I mean, it changes things immediately. And leadership climate is set from the top. And if president is saying you should be hanged, then we shouldn't be surprised when folks on the ground are going to follow suit and say even worse.
My question off the top is, how seriously do you take this as a possibility?
Well, we have to take everything that Donald Trump says seriously. He throws a lot of stuff out there, but some of the things he carries through on. But listen, I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm not going to be threatened. To be clear, we are not calling on folks right now to disobey any type of unlawful order. Right? There is very real and deep concern about what this president has threatened to do over and over again. There are 3 more years left of this administration. If we are not talking about this and having a conversation about it and demystifying this conversation, we are not fulfilling our duty. We are reminding people that have taken the oath what that oath requires of them to do.
Yesterday, some of your colleagues in the House and the Senate put out a video. They're all veterans.
Yep.
And they said to serving members of both the armed forces and the intelligence community, hey, we've been where you are. We took the constitutional oath that you did. Keep in mind that we were told, and we're just reminding you, you have an obligation not to obey an illegal order.
Yep.
Trump may be immune to prosecution. You are not.
That's
for
right.
your own protection. Do not follow an illegal order. That's not a controversial thing. It is something that is taught members of the military, that it is their responsibility to do. People have freaked out in Trump's orbit. Trump has put out text or put out posts that said, this is seditious. The penalty for that is death. He's retweeted people saying they should be arrested and hanged. That's what George Washington would have done. What do you say? Your friend Chris Murphy said, hey, he's threatening to kill Congress. Now would be the time for somebody to take a side. That's what he said. So what's your reaction to all of this?
So look, first of all, Trump is wrong. as you rightly say, what the members of Congress who are standing up, and by the way, can we just say good on them for standing up and pointing this out? For Elissa and for Jason, right? Good for you guys. Yes. But here's the deal. We got to have their backs. Donald Trump thinks he can intimidate them, and I got to say, I think he picked the wrong set of people to try to intimidate. But it is powerfully important that we push back, and I don't just mean Democrats. This is a time to call on these Republicans who have been surgically altered and have no spines to say that when Donald Trump is encouraging violence like this, when he's threatening violence like this, when he's calling out specific members of Congress with death threats, it is time for everyone in Congress to stand up and say no. That is enough. We are not doing this and not going to put up with it anymore.
The President of the United States just called for Democratic members of Congress to be executed. This is not normal. We cannot allow this to feel normal. This, as far as I know, has never happened before in the history of the country. Every Democratic member of the Senate and the House, their life is in jeopardy right now, especially those that were specifically targeted by this social media post. Democratic senators and House members who were simply saying that no member of the military should act illegally or in violation of the Constitution. The President of the United States just called for members of Congress to be executed. If you are a person of influence in this country, maybe it's time to pick a side. If you are a Republican in Congress, if you are a Republican governor, maybe it's time to draw a line in the sand and say that under no circumstances should the President of the United States be calling on his political opposition to be hanged. We are at a very dangerous moment right now. The President is engaged in the wholesale incitement, endorsement, and rationalization of political violence in this country. This is a very slippery slope that we are on. This is a moment for people to step up, for Republicans to step up, for business leaders to step up. Anybody who has a voice or a soapbox in this country needs to draw a line in the sand and say that it is not acceptable for the President of the United States to call on the murder of his political opposition.
You want to know why Donald Trump is able to write things like this on True Social today? Things like this. Things like this. I'll tell you why. It's because it's November 20th, 2025, and for a lot of people, today is the first day they've figured out how to draw a straight line in the sand and say, I can't do this anymore. I can't enable him anymore. Almost 10 years. 10 years. It will never cease to amaze me, and I will probably never understand for the rest of my life how so many people that we knew collectively and that I knew personally couldn't figure out how to draw a line in the sand when Donald Trump said, before he even entered into politics and running for office, that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I would be dating her. He said that on The View in front of a panel full of women who laughed. They laughed. When Donald Trump let other men, such as Howard Stern, degrade and reduce his own daughter to meat and laughed along with them, that wasn't enough. It wasn't enough when he said in front of a large audience that he felt the thing he had most in common with her was, and everyone laughed. Like they laughed on the Howard Stern show when they referred to him as a predator. It was just fucking funny. All of the things he said about his own children, that wasn't enough for people to say, yeah, that's really awful. I can't support someone who says those things about his daughters. That's why we're here. This could have been over so long ago. And that says a lot about the people that we live amongst. People you thought you knew. People you thought that you knew better than anyone else. ended up supporting someone because they couldn't figure out how to draw a line in the sand when he said he might date his own daughter. I want to ask you all something, because I'm going to stay on this for a minute. If your father or your brother or your uncle or your grandpa were to say that about your sister, your daughter, your mother, what would you say? I'm curious if you would laugh it off and say, well, I hope Dad runs for president, because I don't know how to say that's horrible. I don't know how to do that. And you want to know why so many people didn't know how to do that? Because the sad truth is, it's been so normalized. It's been so normalized our whole life. The locker room talk. You had men coming out thinking they were defending someone, and all they were doing was reducing other men to pieces of shit. Saying every man talks like that. Every man says those things. He didn't know he was on camera. He didn't know he was being recorded. He wouldn't have said that otherwise. Further reducing men in this country to pigs like him. Instead of saying, yeah, that's wrong. But so many of them couldn't say that because they didn't think it was wrong. That's the dilemma. That is the dilemma in this country. The people you grew up with and the people you've thought you've known your whole life, they think just like him. They think that him being able to grab and be aggressive and to hell with consent and do whatever he wants and force himself on them because he's powerful and notorious, they think that's amazing. And if they were like him, they'd be doing the same fucking thing. You know, if we're ever going to heal in this country, we have to face who it is we live amongst. And many of you out there know people like this. You've known them since you were a little kid. And it's uncomfortable to think about, it's uncomfortable to talk about, but it's the truth. That's why Donald Trump is where he is today, saying this and retruthing this. An absolute maniac, an absolute womanizer, misogynist, a fucking rape, sitting in the goddamn White House because too many people didn't know how to draw, or they didn't care at all because they wanted to be like him. He emulates what it is they've been their whole life. And many of us have known that. And we never said anything about it when we were younger because we were gatekeepers. We were afraid of what would happen if we said anything about what Uncle said, or what Dad said, or what brother said. We keep it in the family. We're loyal. And that loyalty has cost us this fiend country. The deterioration of any kind of morality is gone. The fragility of the institutions in this country have never been more apparent. That someone like him still sits his big ass in that chair after being one of the most reprehensible humans we've ever seen. And someone, if your dad or brother or uncle or grandpa was like, you wouldn't have a fucking relationship with them. You would have walked away a long time ago if your dad said he wanted to date your sister. So it's time to face the reality that Trump is where he is, not because people just were deceived, they're brainwashed. No, they were like him. They made that locker room into the entire country. They renovated that locker room and it became the United States of America. And that is the truth. Now we have to face it.
Dementia can cause disinhibition, can affect parts of your brain that store forbidden words, like these. This is likely a symptom of frontotemporal dementia, where the frontal lobe of the president has been affected, causing him to lose inhibition in everything that he says. Now, he was a loudmouth piece of shit since he was born, but things have gone to a new level, I think. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home health care, treating geriatric patients just like the president. As time goes by, this kind of behavior is actually not intentional. It's just a symptom of cognitive decline, and it's a person trying to express discomfort or fear or anxiety or some sort of underlying need they now no longer have a straight line of access to. because of the damage to their brain. When I'm dealing with a patient like this in a real-world setting, I focus on the underlying message. I avoid correction, and I gently redirect the patient, or I manage the environment, kind of like they've allowed him to tear down the East Wing and start building a ballroom. That's an adult coloring book for a dementia patient. Also remember, he's the first president in the history of our country to use the F word on camera. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think he's got 4 to 6 months left in the land of the living. Because on top of these clear cognitive deficits, he probably also has heart failure, a history of stroke or TIA, chronic kidney disease, all sorts of fun stuff. Thank you for your attention to this.
Fox News has a message for active duty service members in the United States today. Shut up and do as you're told. Because they have spent most of today absolutely melting down on air about a recent video posted by Democrats in Congress who are also veterans. And I'm going to show you clips from that Fox News meltdown, but first, just for context, here is a small snippet of the video that has their panties so in a twist today.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
Pretty benign, right? They're literally just reminding active duty service members of what their oath to this country was and what it was not. Information that, frankly, is pretty important for service members to know and to remember, particularly when our country is being led by people whose entire modus operandi is we do what we want and the courts can themselves. But to hear Fox News and their far-right guests today tell it, conveying this basic information to service members is insurrection of the highest order.
Democratic lawmakers putting out a shocking video.
That's Democrats calling on the armed services to fight against President Trump.
That's tantamount to encouraging an insurrection.
It is inconceivable.
Democrat lawmakers are now openly calling for insurrection.
These lawmakers should honestly resign in disgrace.
If Stephen didn't like what those lawmakers had to say in the video, then he really isn't going to like what I have to say as the spouse of an active duty service member who is not beholden to or restricted by any limitations on what I can say. Because this next part of my video is a message directly to the men and women serving alongside my husband right now. Unless you want to be standing next to Stephen Miller someday at our version of the Nuremberg trials, you shouldn't listen to a word that man says. Because he doesn't give a about you. And he, along with every other person in that administration, can and will happily throw you under the bus someday to save this. And here's what they really don't want you to know. They aren't actually confident that the orders they're giving some of you are legal at all. In fact, they are so worried about the possibility that the strikes they've ordered in the Caribbean are not only illegal, but constitute literal war crimes that administration lawyers are preemptively circulating memos right now of possible legal defenses for future prosecution of troops down the chain of command. That is not a normal thing for an administration to be doing, friends. And when you add that to the fact that the United Kingdom, one of the United States' closest and most long-standing allies, has now stopped sharing military intelligence with the United States, specifically because they don't want to be complicit in unlawful strikes.
Molly, you in danger, girl.
And look, I understand that asking you to defy illegal orders is a way bigger ask than most civilians realize. I understand that it requires a massive leap of faith, and it means choosing to effectively end your own military career. I get that. But when leadership above you in the chain of command are starting to choose early retirement over carrying out potentially illegal orders, like what is speculated happened with now former Southcom Commander Alvin Halsey, it is well past time to start worrying about what you are being asked to do and whether that ask could come back to haunt you someday. And finally, even if nothing else I have said before now has resonated with you in any way, I'd simply ask you to ponder this one question. If they are so confident that every order they give is legal, why are they so opposed to you being reminded of your right to refuse those that are illegal?
So, the current occupant of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, who is also the lord and master of maggots, has his panties in a wad. Well, maybe they're depends. I'm not sure, but they're one or the other. And those panty depends are in such a wad that he is calling for violence against members of Congress and accusing them of sedition for exercising their freedom of speech and saying something that is actually a national imperative. Now, under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, Article 92, service members are required to obey lawful orders. However, not all orders are lawful. And the military draws a distinction between orders that must be followed and those that must be refused. Now, stick with me. Before we go more into UCMJ Article 92, let's take a listen to what the congressman actually said that has Donald Trump's panties depends in a wad.
Senator Elissa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly. Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander. Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy. Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer. Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now. Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us. You all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army, or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you. We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution, and who we are as Americans. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Well. And that's what has His Highness's Panty Depends in a wad, and his followers, because actually knowing what the Constitution and the UCMJ says is not their strong suit. I would like for somebody to ask the maggot, what was wrong with that? What was wrong with them exercising their freedom of speech to say something that is outlined in UCMJ Article 92? They were not talking about any lawful order. They were talking about an unlawful order. One that requires the commission of a criminal act or violates the Constitution, U.S. federal law, or applicable international laws. It gives examples: targeting or intentionally harming civilians, torturing or abusing detainees, falsifying operational or legal records, engaging in unauthorized political or domestic law enforcement actions. So I asked you once again, what's the problem?
The president has gone as far as to call for the death of people serving in Congress. And many people who defend him are going to say, you know, Democrats, whatever, blah, blah, blah. How long before it's not just Democrats? How long before it's not just the people you don't like? Because you better damn well know, if he will say this about Democrats, if he will say or call for this on his political opponents, he'll call for this on anybody. We've all been talking about how his #1 ride or die in Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene, is now seen as a traitor to him. He literally calls her Marjorie Traitor Greene. And it's funny, before, you know, these files had to be released because he had to sign that bill, he didn't seem to be this open about how aggressive he wanted to be against Democrats. It was always implied, right? It was always, you know, if they would stop creating this problem, they would not see the violence. They are always responsible for the violence. Well, now he has straight up said, I want them dead. I want them and dead. That's not okay. You know, it definitely wasn't okay when y'all were getting mad about the unaliving of Charlie Kirk, and you didn't like that people were, you know, celebrating that. You kept saying, you know, there's no place for that in our country. There's no place for that type of talk, that type of rhetoric. There is no place for that type of behavior in politics. Political violence is wrong. That's what we heard y'all say over and over and over again. Will you speak up now? Will you say anything to the effect of what he did was wrong now? Probably not. But, and if you do think it's wrong, here's what these people will say. He didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. It was a joke. It was some kind of thing. He didn't mean it. I've said this many times. Whenever he says things that you guys like, whenever he does things that you guys like, it's exactly what you voted for, right? This is who he is. This is what we wanted. But whenever he says or does something that you don't like, right? Whenever he says or does something that you don't agree with, you won't say that you don't agree with it. What you will say is there had to be some other explanation. There had to be some other influence. There's a lot of nuance and a lot of details, a lot of context that is not being addressed in this situation. What is the context now? What is the context when the President of the United States has said Democrats are acting seditiously and it is punishable by death? What is the context? Because it seems to me like y'all are just really waiting on him to straight up say, if you support me, go start unaliving people who don't support me. I really think that's what you guys are waiting.
Can we be real for a moment? What we're watching from Trump right now is not strength, it's not strategy, and it sure as hell ain't leadership. This is a man who is unhinged. He's cognitively slipping and dangerously out of touch with the country he's supposed to lead. Now, over the last 48 hours, multiple news outlets, left, right, and international, have confirmed the same disturbing pattern. Trump jumped online and accused 6 Democratic lawmakers of seditious behavior punishable by death. Now, he didn't whisper this. He didn't hint at it. He outright said it in execution for elected members of Congress. And you want to know what triggered him? It was a video where Democratic lawmakers told our military and intelligence community the one thing that they swore an oath to do: refuse any illegal orders from any president. That's not sedition, that's the Constitution. But Trump treated it like it was personal betrayal, lashing out like a man who believes loyalty to him is more important than loyalty to the law. And here's the key point. Every credible report backs this up. You got mainstream outlets, you got conservative outlets, you even got international journalists who are saying the same exact thing. Trump's behavior is escalating, it's irrational, and it's reckless. Even his allies melted down. Stephen Miller called lawmakers insurrectionists. Todd Blanche demanded investigations. Pete Hegseth turned the whole damn thing into political theater. Meanwhile, national security experts, people who understand actual sedition, warn loudly that Trump's language could poison military trust, escalate division, and normalize threats of political violence. This is not normal disagreement. This is not standard politics. This is an unstable leader using language of authoritarian regimes, labeling opponents traitors, demanding arrest, and invoking death penalties for political dissent. A president who respects democracy doesn't talk like that. A president who's grounded in reality doesn't think like that. Only someone losing touch with the world around him then jumps straight into execution when people remind the military to follow the law. And the most telling part, even conservatives couldn't clean this up. They tried, but the facts were too loud. Too many reports matched. Too much was on the record. This isn't partisan anymore. This is a warning sign. America isn't supposed to revolve around one man's ego. Our democracy survives because the law stands taller than any president, especially one who's unraveling in public. Now, the real question becomes, how much more instability are we willing to tolerate? Because a leader who demands death for political disagreement isn't defending America, he's endangering it.
He is in a really bad place right now, and he's losing his shit. If you haven't seen yet, he just called for the arrest of several Democrat House and Senate members, all veterans, who made a video and suggested, like, hey, military members, do not obey illegal orders. And Trump did not like that. So he wants them arrested for treason, sedition, because they were telling military members not to obey illegal orders. And if you think about that, it's just insane. And they won't obey illegal orders. And he knows that. Trump knows that. And that's why he's losing his shit. Because he was really hoping they would. And if they were going to do that, they would have already. And we wouldn't be having this conversation. And we wouldn't be having, massive Epstein litigation going through the Congress and being signed by Trump himself. But I think somebody may have told him here recently that that may not save you. I don't know who's advising him right now, but he's just fucked. He really is. And so he's going to blow off steam on this because he needs an outlet. He needs an outlet. And yeah, so being mad at people telling the military not to obey illegal orders is probably not a great way to go about it. You're going to draw a lot of attention to that. And the fact that you're pissed at them for reminding military members about that does not look good on you, but nothing really does. So yeah, the military, he knows the military is not going to back him up on like arrest of lawmakers. He's flailing right now. He's absolutely flailing. And he's not quite sure how he's going to get out of it. He's been told it's all going to be slow rolled, like all the Epstein stuff, and everything will be okay. There's active investigation, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And now he's just like, it's coming to a close for him. So yeah, that's the level of insanity this morning, is a president of the United States calling for the arrest of people who told military members not to obey illegal orders. That's where we are. So have a good day.
I can't believe this has to be said. To any military members, current or former, please share this video. I just watched the video from the Democratic members who were in the military reminding service members that they have a duty to disobey unlawful orders. The fact that that had to be put out in 2025 is it's just a trip that it has to be put out. But anyway, the fact that they put out the video reminding military members that they have an oath to the Constitution, to the country, not one person. They have an oath to the country, not a draft dodger. They have an oath to protect this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Is insane that it has to be said. So I want to say this to any service members. Please remember your oath. Please remember
please remember what you signed up to protect. This shouldn't have to be said. You have an oath to the Constitution, to the country, to protect civilians. And just in case you want to know what an unlawful order is, any order where you are asked to torture, intentionally harm, or falsify records, or anything towards a civilian. Your oath is to the country, not one person. And the fact that this dude, who's supposed to protect civilians, who's supposed to protect the country, is asking for those people who only reminded military service members to protect the country. The fact that that dude, the draft dodger, is asking for them to be offed or put on trial or calling this seditious should tell you where we at. So like I said, I've been doing my best to try and make happy videos. I couldn't do it with this one. So to the service members, thank you for your service. And please remember who you serve and what you serve. You serve this country, you serve the Constitution, you serve the people. And we are grateful for that.
Welcome back. Hopefully from wherever you're watching this from, you are doing all right. I do hope and pray that God has protected you and preserved you very well and provided for you and for your loved ones. Yes, indeed. I want to say thank you so much to all of you that stick around and support the channel. Thank you so much. My members, you guys do me absolutely amazing. And I just want to say thank you so very, very much. Yes, and indeed, we are back with this entire saga of the United States of embarrassment at this point. It's not from a judgmental point of view, but it's from an observational point of view, especially to us that observe and follow the current events, politics of the world. And, you know, it is such a shame. I can't help but just reflecting from some of the places that the West has decided to label third worlds here in the politics of the third worlds. And I see a pattern here. This is exactly what dictators do. Before you know, the people that oppose them, that call out, you know, stuff that need to be called out, they have been disappeared. They have been dismembered. You find them dispatched off somewhere and they are just lifeless. So there's no freedom of speech. The democracy is not there. Power is consolidated into one person. And when I was beginning this episode, I said, who's going to remind him that he has the power, that he should not be worried about what other people are saying. They are speaking from their own point of view and their observations of how things are going. And from the look of things, America is not a one political party system that other people are not supposed to speak out when they see something. So it is very embarrassing, and it shows that this man is afraid that at some point, some of the orders that he gives, they are not legal, that they are unlawful. And we can all confirm that quite a lot of these orders have been found by judges being unlawful. We have seen a lot of cases that this administration has put out there, sued and tried to appeal and repeal, and still they have been found guilty of giving unlawful orders. So when the other side of people that still have the conscience of the democracy, the freedom of speech, and everything that needs to be followed, you know, the so-called pillars of the US, when they speak up, now they are such a threat. It is time to remind Mr. Orange that he is the president and that whatever that comes out of his mouth is way much stronger, weighs quite a lot than the side that he's so afraid of. As he's the commander-in-chief, everybody knows that. His words weigh so much that even if these people are not by the system, his boys will come and hunt these people. We have seen it. We have seen it, and he better be careful because the language he uses is so disturbing. It is so very much disturbing. Even the MAGAs should be extremely worried because you must have seen that even the MAGAs that question him, now all of a sudden they are traitors. Don't you think it is time to question what did you put in that office? Don't you think it is time to start questioning who is he? Because at this point, it's not just the ops alone. It's not the lives of ops alone. It's the lives of everybody. We have seen US citizens being harassed. We have seen these people trying to sit on justice and trying to stop people from, speaking up on topics that need to be spoken about. And I think it should raise a lot of questions. We normally speak on this channel that this man is supposed to be like that one point of contact or that one person that is supposed to unite all people. But this is a man that is not afraid of actually speaking up against his enemies and literally telling you that he hates them and all of that. And then his press secretary as well. She is like, she has been, I don't know how much. A lot of people are wondering how much is she paid? Because my goodness, you cannot help it but listen to her and get your emotions riled up because it's unbelievable sometimes some of the things that she needs to literally twist. She's like, no, that's not what he said. That's exactly what he said. That's what he said. And guess what? The people that you're talking about, oh, they are trying to incite something. You guys, didn't you pardon the January 6th people? Aren't you guys pardoning the worst of the criminals while you go after people that don't even have any record? Okay, I'm not saying that all the people that you are going after are not like illegals or what, no. There are those that they've gone against that are criminals. But this is an administration that evades accountability at any cost. And you have seen the meltdown from their side. But they have done worse. They have said worse. They have divided the country, the worst. They have given the racists confidence to... Somebody needs to remind him that he is the president and that he, if indeed he's not a dictator, he shouldn't be worried about what the other side of the world needs to say or has to say, because that should be background noise. They say the Dems on the other side are too emotional, but I think it's always a deflection. That's being too emotional. If you are a leader, oh my goodness, the president of Uganda has been called the worst of the worst. To an extent, a lot of people be like, you can call the president this in my country and they leave you. And this man just... And I'm not saying that there's perfection because I am in Uganda, so I need to just end this right now while wondering what you guys think, because you must have heard and listened to the messages and reactions that you guys can probably correlate with I want you guys to let me know as well. We have had Congress, Senate, representatives, wives or partners of active duty people. We have vets in here. It is a cocktail of these reactions. But from the look of things, America is getting to that point where it is going to be so hard to live there. Especially because you Americans, this is not what you are used to. You are open-minded people. You are outspoken people. You call out things. You criticize everything. And if it comes to these people first, you better be sure that it is coming to you. This is not me trying to fearmonger, but I'm just observing patterns here. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like and share. Subscribe to the channel. I think from me for today, that's it. I do love all of you. And I will indeed see you in another amazing video. Until then, my name is Gracie. May God watch over you and protect you and your loved ones. Bye.